Welcome to Sports Extra, your premium online sports show. My name is Rumbo Chakoreka and I'm joined by Xtra Zimbabwe once again. And today we have got another fantastic sports show, some developments from the last episode that we had with Mr. Titch. But before we do get there, don't forget to like, to subscribe, to share, to comment. We need all of those things coming through. We do have our Facebook and our Instagram handles. That is at Sports Extra Zim. You can like and share the content that we'll be putting there, as well as our new YouTube channel. That's Sports Extra. So if you subscribe there as well, that would be so great, so that you can catch up with all of the content that we have, even behind the scenes footage and expert analysis from some of our experts that we will be having. Don't forget as well, you can look on our Facebook page. We have posted up the link for the Sports Extra Fantasy Football League for this season's Premier League. And we will have prize money that will be coming through from one of our sponsors as well. So please do make sure that you tune in for that, as well as like and then subscribe to that Fantasy Football League. So let's get straight into some of the stuff we'll be talking about today. Finally, Xtra, sports is coming back to Zimbabwe. It might be national team stuff, but we'll be talking a bit more about that. We're also going to be talking a little bit about what is happening with our Zimbabwean players. Well, they are taking flight because there's no activity happening here, particularly locally. And then we're going to be looking at the transfer zone. Romelu Lukaku, almost deal sealed. That is going through to Chelsea from Inter Milan. A significant transfer that has been made there, and we can expect some big things coming through. And we're also going to be predicting who might win the Premier League this season. Of course, Xtra has got wishful thinking, utopia, dreams that maybe Arsenal might do.
I have not even yet talked about my prediction, so do not preempt me.
She's an Arsenal supporter. These are the kinds of defenses that they put together to try and help themselves. But anyway, so let's get straight into it right now and talk about what's happening in local sport. So, Xtra, we've got the Src. They put out their press statement, national team assignments, as well as those that will be going on national assignments are expected to get back into training. So fantastic news, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, because for the longest time, everybody who loves sport, and I'm sure that is the majority of Zimbabweans, you know, we've been starved and so hungry to at least have some local action. It's been good. We've been watching the Olympics and all, but then we always say, but then what about us? You know, there was, I could say, should we call it a false start when there was the Chibuku tournament and everybody was loving it. Unfortunately, COVID got the better of us. But at the same time, you know, there was always like, why can't we do something? Why can't we do something? Yes, of course, we need to look out for the regulations and follow the regulations, but at the same time, as Zimbabwe, we're a sporting nation, and then when we get invited to these international tours, international tournaments, I feel it's just good that we just participate, making sure that we are actually going by the COVID guidelines. At the same time, I feel still more can be done. I feel like the Src has that power to ensure that sport can be played in Zimbabwe within the best of safety environments as well.
Yeah, I mean, whilst talking about that, particularly pressing in on national assignments, we've got Black Rhinos Queens. They're supposed to participate in the inaugural COSAFA Women's Champions League, which is going to be used as a qualifying tournament for the inaugural CAF Women's Champions League.
Yeah.
So at least that's good news coming through. Sure. But realistically, do they have a chance? They were drawn against the Lesotho Defense Forces, as well as the team from Namibia. But do they stand a realistic chance looking at the development of women's football in Zimbabwe?
Well, I believe that women's football for the longest time has been underrated in Zimbabwe, and yet we have actually really done very, very well, especially on the African continent, let alone going to the Olympics. You know, you're talking, the way you emphasize that they're going to face Lesotho Defense Forces, but then look at where Black Rhinos Queens are equally coming from. And I feel that is actually quite a good breeding ground, especially for women football, because there is a lot of strength and stamina that those women have, and for them to have won the Zimbabwean League shows that they have what it takes. Unfortunately, of course, when you're talking about women's sports development, especially football, then we have some question marks. There are a lot of hurdles that have been going on, especially in action, which definitely ultimately affects the form of the young women. But I still believe that, you know what, Zimbabwean women football has always stood the test and stood their ground, and I believe that this is a good chance, and I'm happy that they've actually been allowed to go and participate.
Yeah, quite unfortunate that, like, as you said, that, you know, particularly in women's football, it's administrative wise, and it's not like as if the gentleman's game does not have its own shenanigans, and hopefully Zifa will get its act in order in that regard. But anyway, we do wish them the very best of luck as they go there. But other teams as well that will be looking to participate with this reprieve that has come through. We've got the Zimbabwe national cricket team. Finally, they can go on tour to Ireland and Scotland. That is also going to be a big test for them. Ireland are getting better and better. Scotland are getting better and better because they're playing more and more cricket. Zimbabwe has seen now a lot of cricket coming to the fore, particularly this year with the tours of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh
as well.
and in all of those, we didn't have the greatest of successes, but it's going to be very important for them to really step up to the plate, particularly with the younger players. Our under-21 girls hockey team is also going to the Junior Hockey World Cup. So we're also hoping that that will come into play. But the importance of preparation cannot be overemphasized here.
Oh, definitely, definitely. You're talking about issues to do with cricket, and it's always unfortunate that now we're looking at ourselves and pitting ourselves against the teams like Bangladesh, Ireland, Scotland, and these are teams that they were walkovers maybe a decade or so ago. But at the same time, we need to just continue pushing, because if we're looking at Zimbabwe within Africa and African cricket, then we are right there at the top with South Africa. Now, Kenya was coming up, Uganda also coming up, but we also just need to continuously stamp authority and not lose focus, because now we're ranging there in the number 11s, 12s, 13s in the world, and yet at one point we're up to the 2nd, 5th in the world. So I believe that in as much as we were really the best in cricket years ago, we just continuously need to continue stamping our authority. And like you're saying, it's very good that we're getting all these tours, and you know, when you're talking about preparation, but also just having those international matches instead of just, you know, training at a sports club day in, day out. It's not the same as having Bangladesh right there facing you. It's not the same as having South Africa A. It's not the same as going to Ireland. So I believe that, you know, we have a chance. We may not necessarily be winning, but I still feel, you know, we are somewhere. We need to, you know, regain that strength, regain that number, regain that, you know, stamina that we had as Zimbabwe cricket.
Yeah, there are many concerns as well in terms of every time we start, like Chibuku Super Cup started and then it stopped, and then we're going to have to try and see if we can get back to it, because unfortunately local football is not returning, which leads us to the next part of what we're going to discuss. Because local football is not returning, many of our local players are left with no option or choice but to make the transition. That is to cross either the Zambezi or to cross the Limpopo, which is exactly what's happening right now. So we've seen the likes of Blessing Sarupinda. He's transferred, he's gone through to South Africa. We're seeing the likes of Talbot Chumba moving from beyond Zambezi to beyond Limpopo. He's now gone to Free State Stars. We've got a lot of players now that are just making the move down to South Africa because of a lack of game time.
Yeah, it's actually just more than a lack of game time. It's also about sustainability. This is their life. You know, it's about, you know, sustainability of their lives. This is their career. This is not a hobby. You know, and at some point, you know, some of these difficult decisions have to be made, and you actually then think about it. In as much as we may not really like the fact that our players are going down south, but then it shows that they have been doing something for themselves. You know, really COVID started in 2019, hence COVID-19. So it means that there was a lot of disturbance in 2020, but for a player to actually be scouted and be called in for trials and to move down south or up north, I think it is good for them, especially individually, because it shows that, you know, they're not giving up. At the same time, I believe that the powers that be need to really look into it, the welfare of the players, what is happening when they're not playing, what is happening, because also sponsors are somewhat pulling out, and because of inaction, they're not getting a return on their investment in these clubs. So I believe, well, it might be a bit sad, but then it's good for the players. You know, they need to pay the bills at the end of the day.
All right, paying bills. Now we come back to the interesting topic of a log in or log out, right? Logarosic obviously has come under heavy fire. The discussion has been had over and over again. Many people are definitely in favor of logging out. I am in favor of logging in. Why I say so, and I continuously stand by my point, he doesn't have a fair opportunity of selecting people that are at the best of their ability. Okay, let's look at cases in point. Many felt Ishmael Wadi should have traveled with the COSAFA Cup squad that went down to South Africa. He was the top scorer in the competition, 5 rounds of matches, he had scored 4 goals. Okay, all great, all nice, all hunky-dory, sounds really great. Now he's gone, he's joined Sekhukhune United, which will soon be Zimbabwe United
Totally.
for the number of players that they've taken. But also at the same time, are we really getting the best out of sending our players to South Africa, to Tanzania, to Zambia? Are we getting the best out of our players? Because at the end of the day, when they do come back, even some of those that have gone down to play in South Africa are not stepping it up on the international level. We saw it in our AFCON qualifiers when we were playing against the likes of Algeria, and we had to sniff out a 2-2 draw at the National Sports Stadium. We had to totter against Botswana, and then we lost out against Zambia. And albeit questions were there about selection, but do we have the caliber of players, and are they being mentored and trained well enough in the leagues that they're running to?
And I just want to start off by logging out. For me, it's totally logger out. No, logger out. And I'm talking about this because I have not heard, I did not hear his strategy with the national team. I do understand. And I think also one of the reasons I get emotional by his statements, the way he feels that, oh, I feel like COSAFA was a success. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, no, this is not it. We're record COSAFA holders. But at the same time, looking at the team even that was sent to COSAFA, what exactly is our plan when we're looking at COSAFA? I always feel that this is a tournament where we can actually send our junior teams, because they do not have any other, any other tournaments that they go to. Let's send our junior players there, the under 23s, even under 21, just so that they can have game time, international exposure, and then we continue grooming them. If we're going to be sending out, sorry, this has to be cut. What's the goalkeeper's name?
Tell the Juba. No. Oh, Washington Arubi.
If we're going to be sending out Washington Arubi to COSAFA, what exactly is our plan as a nation, really? And in as much as we want to always blame Zifa, but then I feel that the coach has to also come with his own strategic plan. What exactly does he want to see out of these players? And you're talking about also, is it a good thing to have players going to play outside? But what is the bad thing? What exactly is better for us? They can't even go to Europe. If they can go to South Africa, of course the argument is always there. Which league is better? Is it the South African league or the Zimbabwean league? But then you actually ended your statement by talking about preparation. The issue where we actually fell short when we were having these qualifying rounds is because there's no time to have the team gelling. So if I have been playing with Washington Arubi and then I come back and somebody, Tatenda Mkuruwa, is coming through, it means that there's a lot of communication. There is a way that he communicates to his defenders, for example. And then there's Katsu and Jarib, for example, coming in from Dynamos, and with all these players, teenage Hadebe even, they're all coming in. But then if there is no proper preparation, how many days were they in camp? That is where my point is. So it's not necessarily about the league where they're playing.
But then the question we'll also ask is, when England comes together, Germany come together for whatever qualifiers that they're going to play, how long do they actually come together? I mean, we just hear about an international break is coming next week. And when the international break comes, they just prepare for a couple of days, they go in, they play the match, they win.
That is because they actually have a good coach in there as well. That is why I keep saying logger out. And I keep talking, for example, if we're going to be talking about Norman Mapeza coming back, and he I think he's one of the successful coaches we have. Even Rama Ngombo, they didn't necessarily have the players in camp for a month. They had them for a few days, but then you could see what was happening. Even our tiki-taka squad, there was a rhythm, there was something that was there to show for their training. But then with Loga, it's
but in any case, we would love for you to comment on this one. Please send through your comments in the comment section. and would love to get through to them, particularly in the next episode, and just really talk about all of these issues, particularly that are happening on the local scene with our sports, with our football, and things like that. But let's now go over to the transfer zone, the international transfer zone. We're going to take a short break. When we do come back, we're going to be talking about the international transfer zone. Big news coming through there. Welcome back to Sports Extra, your premium online sports show. My name is Src and I'm with Xtra Gadzirai. Please do comment and let us know your thoughts on what we were discussing, particularly in the initial segment about where Zimbabwean sport is currently placed. Good news that Src has done the business and said, look, let national team assignments or those representing the nation be actually done. So that is good news for us. Hopefully the club scene on the local front will come back for cricket, for rugby, for football, and all other sports as well. But now we go into the international transfer market. We know the transfer zone is hot, it's blazing right now. The debate, the gossip continues. But one of the bigger transfer stories is that of Romelu Lukaku. The deal is almost sealed. It is said that Chelsea and Inter Milan have agreed a fee of 115 million euros. That, if you convert to pounds, is about 97.5 million pounds for Romelu Lukaku. Now, Romelu Lukaku apparently now heads the list of the best transfer deals that have been sealed during his career, which are totaling to an amount of close to $269 million every time that he has been transferred. So from the time that he was on loan at Chelsea, going through to the likes of Everton and West Bromwich Albion, and then moving from Chelsea and then going over to, Manchester United. That was from the Everton side of things. And then from Manchester United to Inter Milan, they've all been big fees that have been paid for it. So it shows the caliber or the quality of the man. However, there's also discussion here that has got a touch of an elephant. And so many people have been questioning his skill, but numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie, indeed, Rimbo. Of course, I mean, there's always the haters, if I can call them that. And Lukaku hasn't necessarily been the best of the best in terms of footballers in the world. Even, I mean, if you're talking about the Ballon d'Or, leave out Messi and Ronaldo, but then you haven't really seen Lukaku being such a top contender. But I believe that he's always been that element within a team that is needed, and he's there to also even turn around games, and he's there especially when he is needed the most. When goals are needed, you will see him step up, and I believe that he's actually really maintained that form. And yes, he's had his bad days like any other player, but then like you're saying, numbers don't lie. And you're looking at Chelsea, they're the UEFA champions, and what they want now is more and more trophies. And when you see them calling in Lukaku, it shows that they're really right there, and they're really determined to continue winning more trophies. And I believe that's how Lukaku comes in. And he hasn't been playing for the mediocre or smaller teams, Inter Milan, you talk even Everton. When he was there, he was really brilliant there. So I believe that he brings that he brings that touch into any team that he joins. And what more, Chelsea, you're saying 97.5 million, let's just round it up and say 100 million.
Well, Man City lovers would then argue, hey, Jack Grealish, he's the one who broke the record.
Yeah.
But we'll see whether he'll be able to do the business when it really comes to it. But just looking at Chelsea as inside, you did mention they are Champions League with their European champions. They're going to be participating in the European Championship, the UEFA Super Cup rather, whereas they play Villarreal. How they want to go against it. But anyway, they're going to be playing Villarreal in the UEFA Super Cup. That will then herald the start of the Champions League season. But but whatever Roman Abramovich sets his mind on, he just simply gets.
He does.
Last season, 200 million pounds when Frank Lampard was at the helm of the club. He wasn't performing well. Get out. Thomas
Like
Tuchel
that.
came in, did not add a touch to that squad, and went and made them European champions. But look, let's give credit to his. Frank Lampard at least got to the stage where they were going to play Atletico Madrid. It was always going to be a tough match, and then they were able to progressively win that trophy. This season, bringing in Romelu Lukaku was because they were lacking balls. But the midfield force is just ridiculous.
It's top notch.
Kai
Totally.
Havertz and all sorts coming into the side. But do you think that Thomas Tuchel can this time round hit and win the league title? Because at Borussia Dortmund during his time, it was difficult. He just couldn't get over the line against Bayern Munich.
You're looking at the EPL. It's never really certain who will win, and I think that's what makes it very much exciting. And I still feel, sorry Man U, I still feel Liverpool will want this more than Chelsea even, and I see them as a contending force. But then I also do not see Chelsea falling that much backwards, because they're really spending a lot in this transfer season as compared to the other teams as well. So I believe, I can't say I would see Chelsea winning the league, but then I wouldn't put them out of my top three. Yeah.
All right, so putting them within that bracket, that brings us to the issue that we want to talk about now. So many of the leagues are now kicking into play, particularly from this weekend going forward. We saw the French league starting a little bit earlier. PSG getting off on the right foot. One of their transfer signings, Xtra on the score sheet. Mauro Icardi, who I feel will be struggling for a jersey if Messi arrives, also on the score sheet. So they won. Olympic Lyon for Tinoka, they drew. Wasn't able to get round to the results for Rem, which is the team that much of place. But the French league has started.
Yep.
Now all these leagues are coming through. So let's talk about the Premier League in particular, because that's where the fantasy football league is.
Yeah.
We will only do for Premier League. I know there's La Liga, but we will give you results for those. Otherwise, we can't have fantasy football for La Liga. There's no more Messi. What's there to do for?
Oh dear. Oh dear.
But in any case, Premier League season. Let's now look at your top three. You mentioned Chelsea is in there, Liverpool is in there. Who else do you see?
It's a tough one between Leicester, Tottenham, Manchester United. I think those other three can be there also in the top three. Don't look at me like that. I know I can as well talk about Arsenal. I have no...
Man City of all teams.
Man City has not been doing that well, and
they reached the Champions League final.
They did. But then we're talking about the EPL. There's just at some point mid-season that I felt like they just, they started going somewhat backwards. They started dropping, and and then that's when Man U was getting that momentum, and every other team right at the top. And at some point you'd even forget that Man City even had the match. So yeah, well, maybe Man City. Okay, I'll put them the four that will be competing for the third spot in my top three.
I know you're going to be hammered in our comment section. How do you say Man City is going to be? All right, let me give you my prediction.
Yes.
Right? All right, so Manchester City is going to be in there with a shout.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a huge struggle for them to take the title, but they've got the capacity to take the title.
Sure.
Would love to see how Jack Grealish is going to fit into all of the plans. The biggest challenge that I see for Manchester City right now, they do not have an out-and-out striker who is a quality goal scorer. So someone who would be Romelu Lukaku, I would say. Because Romelu Lukaku would deliver nothing less than 20 goals in a season. And if you're going to win a title, particularly in the Premier League now, with all of the standards that have been set by Pep Guardiola, you need a 25-plus center striker goal scoring machine.
Sure, indeed.
That will do the business. This false number 9 issue is for me quite absurd, and that was the undoing of Pep Guardiola. He was not. He wasn't really by far the better team in the Champions League final, but I think he stood toe to toe with Thomas Tuchel's system. And with studying it a bit more, surely he'll be able to understand and be able to have one over. So I think Manchester City will be there in the top 3 come end of the season. Manchester United have made some good buys.
They have.
With Varane coming in and Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho, well, I think he will be tested. He was enjoying time in the Bundesliga, but now this is the Premier League. More physical, more defensive, more speedy. Will he be able to keep fit throughout the season? Adding on top of Bruno Fernandes and maybe a Pogba who's slightly frustrated that he couldn't move, but he now has to stick with Man United and push on. So I think Manchester United has also got a shout for a top 3 place. And then Liverpool, you rightly put it. I think Liverpool this time round will definitely begin with a shout. Virgil van Dijk fully fit and back. Joe Gomez, Joel Matip. That back line needed the leadership of Van Dijk to really kick on again and get back to it. And watching last night's match as they were playing against Athletic Bilbao in that final pre-season, that intensity, you remember the heavy metal football that they used to play? They are back to that now, pressing forward and doing all sorts. The challenge will be, it's an old people's home. Why? No. Hear me. Sadio Mane 30, Mohamed Salah 30, Roberto Firmino 30, Jordan Henderson, their captain, 31. You've got Fabinho should be hitting around the 26, 27 mark. Virgil van Dijk is around about the 29, if not even 30 mark. Joel Matip is about 32. So you've got quite a lot of and that could prove to be quite difficult. So the issue will just be, can they remain injury-free in the season? But I believe that they'll be in with a shout. Leicester City, I'll put them for a number 4, number 5 position. I don't quite think that they've got the quality to break into that Champions League spot. So Europa League might be their deal this time around. For Tottenham, Nuno Espirito does a good job. He has maybe the tools. He's added Christian Romero in that side. He's looking to add Adama Traore into that side. So there'll be questions as to whether they'll fit into his structure and it will actually work. So for me, I think Tottenham, if they really do well, they would be in a number 7 position. I actually see the likes of Aston Villa now with some of the buys that they've made and loan deals. Axel Tuanzebe has come through there. Ashley Young with his experience, which is always needed, and the quality that they always had. But replacing Jack Grealish will be the big problem.
Okay, so where are you placing Arsenal? Because I see already you're almost done with your top 10.
Well, I think Arsenal will struggle again this season unless they get Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexander Lacazette to fire in front. We need Aubameyang back to his 20-plus goal-scoring spree to get Arsenal back into that maybe top 6. I can't see them breaking into the top 4 with the likes of Willian and that defense. I mean, clearly
it's okay,
but it's all right. But in any case, that was just my those are just my thoughts. Please send through your thoughts in your comment section. But finally, your number 1 to 4 cheers.
I'd say Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United.
All right. For me, Man City, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, I think.
In that order?
Yes.
Okay.
I would love for us to win, but I'll be honest, I still think that we've got chinks in the armor. No CDM as yet. So do let us know, who do you think your top 4 will be? Don't forget to join the Sports Extra Fantasy Football League before the Premier League season. And of course, don't forget to like this Facebook page, Sports Extra Zim, as well as our Instagram handle @Sports Extra Zim. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is the Sports Extra, and you'll catch up with all of the content. My name is Rurumbo Chakureka. Cheers, Agadzirai. A great big thank you for coming onto the show and, of course, giving us your expert thoughts and analysis. Stay locked on for our next episode, which will be coming through on Wednesday. Other than that, cheerio.